Dear ladies and gentlemen, дорогі українці, I can't believe this is already episode number 13 in our series of conversation of Ukrainian and foreign intellectuals, experts in different fields. We are discussing here different aspects of Russia's war against Ukraine to share this knowledge with you, our listeners who are keen to learn more, think deeper, and hear from the original sources. Не хочеться вірити, що це вже 13-й епізод нашої серії розмов українських та зарубіжних інтелектуалів, експертів у різних галузях. Ми обговорюємо тут різні аспекти війни Росії проти України, або поділитися цими знаннями із вами, нашими слухачами, які прагнуть дізнатися більше, думати глибше та чути з перших джерел. This is a project of PEN Ukraine, as we all know that its entire team stays in Ukraine right now, fighting hard for the freedom of expression and for their lives. Це проєкт PEN Україна, і ми всі знаємо, що вся його команда залишається в Україні, наполегливо борючись за свободу слова та також за свої життя. The project is co-hosted by PEN International, which has continued to provide a platform for freedom of expression for those currently under the highest risk. We work under the PEN International Charter. Співорганізатором проєкту є Міжнародний ПЕН, який продовжує надавати платформу для свободи вираження поглядів для тих, хто перебуває у групі найвищого ризику. Ми дотримуємося хартії Міжнародного ПЕН. We are grateful to our partners for today, who are traditionally PEN America, the Ukrainian Institute, the Ukrainian Institute London, Ukraine World, Outline Publisher House, the Harvard University Ukrainian Research Institute, and the Harman Institute at Columbia University. We are streaming today's event to all partners' Facebook pages. Сьогодні нашими партнерами є традиційно PEN Америка, Український інститут Лондона, Україна Світ, видавництво Старого Лева, Український науково-дослідний інститут Гарвардського університету та інститут Гаррімана при Колумбійському університеті. Ми транслюємо сьогоднішню подію на усі партнерські сторінки у Facebook. Захід відбувається англійською мовою. And I will switch into English to introduce our guests for today. Both of our today's guests are people of perception, I would say. Those who can catch the moment and interpret it in words, photos, or pictures. From Ukrainian side, I'm happy to welcome Kateryna Mikhalitsyna, good friend of mine, Ukrainian poetess, children writer, translator, and editor. Her books, Who Grows in Park, About Dragon and Happiness, Who Grows in the Garden, Yes in His Cards, and many others, with amazing illustrations from the best Ukrainian artists and illustrators, are those our kids growing with. Kateryna is in Lviv, volunteering. She's just back from the warehouse looking for some important suppliers. She will talk about her personal experience and observations, how the city, which used to be the culture capital of Ukraine, has changed over those 5 weeks of the war. And Katya will hold her dialogue with Michael Katakis, writer and photographer, who has been writing about and photographing a wide range of cultures and geographic locations for the past 40 years. He's traveled extensively all around the world through the People Republic of China, West Africa, Cuba, Hungary, Morocco, Turkey, and name more. Now Ukraine is in his camera focus. Amnesty International chose his work from Sierra Leone for the cover of their international calendar back in the 90s and for the book Thoughts on Human Dignity and Freedom. Here is a lot to tell about Michael, but I don't want to steal the time from the dialogue itself. I just want to thank you personally for the beautifully designed and intimate story of Ernest Hemingway and 1,000 Shards of Glass, which were eye-opening books for me, for sure. Thank you. Katya, Michael, stage is yours.
Thank you, Oля. Thank you for everybody for being there, for listening to us. And Michael, it's also an honor for me to have you as my co-talker, because it's very, very much important. It's really my honor. And you know why? For most of the part, because when we met in Lviv, it was like 2018, I guess, if I'm not mistaken, when you were presenting here your book, Artifacts, Life of Ernest Hemingway. And it actually, somehow it appeared that Ukrainian translation of the book came out earlier than American in America or whatever else in the world. And then you've said that Lviv and Ukraine seem to you like a point of freedom, and these words are now especially dear for me. We are the point of freedom. It actually what helps me to stay strong whenever I feel the despair coming all over me. So this being at the point of freedom, that's what helps me personally to survive. So thank you very much for these words, and I guess we will now discuss it more deeply.
Yes. Before we begin, Kateryna, first, it is me who is honored and rather humbled to be here, because I have been feeling quite impotent since this all began. So at least our conversation is something that you're giving to me, which I greatly appreciate. We were talking before the program, but there's a line in one of your poems that I was reading last night that really affected me. It said so much, and it says, "And she keeps her tears back with all her gall. She's silent and strains for air with words unvoiced." Can you tell me what your day has been like today in Lviv? And are you finding a way to have a voice in some way?
Actually, before the start of the dialogue, I was thinking of who I actually am right now. Am I a mother of 3 kids? Am I a children's writer? Am I a poet? Who am I? And the most, the closest identification that I feel myself connected with is just a human being trying maybe not to survive, but trying to find a way to help, even if this help is finding a voice and trying to speak with children, mine children, who are of a different age. The youngest is 5-year-old and the oldest is 16 years old, and in between my daughter is 12 years old. So the war and the situation they all experience in different ways, and I need to cope in all the 3 ways of how they are feeling right now, and how I can help how I can help them with that, with coping with the situation, with the war, with not normal education, with the not normal seeing friends, of not normal life all around them. As for the children, yes, I really just came like half an hour ago. I came back home from a warehouse where I was with my youngest one, and he and his also 5-year-old friend helped us, their mothers, to sort medical supplies and to find whatever we need for different army units, because we have this, it's a part of volunteering, I guess, not only if you are a proper, so to say, volunteer with this special signs written on your jackets, like volunteer, but we all have different kind of things we need to take care of and to find for somebody else, like finding a place to live for somebody, or just advice on how the people from the eastern part of Ukraine can get to the Western here, or further to Poland, for example. Sometimes it happens totally unexpected. Like in my case, I was, when the war started, after actually we have this, for me, the war started after at 7 o'clock in the morning on the 24th of February, with my daughter just waking me up with the words, "Mama, please wake up, the war is here." It's something I would never forget. I guess she would never forget it also. And then the siren went on, and everything stopped. Since that place, there are no dates, no days or week. There is only one long period of time after the 7 o'clock, after the war had started for our family, for example. But then in a day or two, we all in a kind of woke up from the first panics, from the first absolutely don't know in what we should do. We have 3 kids, we're 2 adult person, and we have 3 kids and an adopted dog, and we need to take care of all them. And actually, if even the war was not totally unexpected for us, because we have this 8-year-long period of frozen conflict, frozen war with on the eastern regions
Young
of Ukraine.
people told me about that when I was
Yes,
there.
but it was still, the war was not unexpected, but it was, and even still is, unbelievable in all its scale, in all its absurdity, in all its cruelty. So after this first shock, we just decided that we have a small council with our older children, because they have their own thought, their feelings, and they are ready to decide with us together, so 12 and 16, and we ask them whether what they would like more to go out. Because we have friends in Poland, in English, in Lithuania. We have many offers where we can come, but the children said we would stay here. We are Ukrainians. We had nothing to say to them, because we are also Ukrainians. Lviv was and still is relatively safe place to stay, and we cannot leave it. We cannot leave it empty, because the oldest son told, if not us, then who? And actually, we are all we're engaging in volunteering in every different, actually not different, in every possible way we can, like making nets this army for the army forces. It's a kind of an meditation, and something that could be done by my daughter, for example, or my mother-in-law. My son oldest came with me several times and sought medicine, and this what he held important. He after a week of war, he came back to studying. He is in the 11th form, which is the last form of Ukrainian school, so he should pass his entrance exam somewhere, if there would be entrance exams. But instead of that, he said that I must do whatever I can to support those who are around me, friends or new friends who came from, he met some boys from Kherson, for example, and they have long talks just talking about life. He helped them to create at least an illusion of normality here after what they've seen in their native city from which they came here. And yes, the youngest, he just goes with me and tries half plays and half try to help with certain medicine. And he always asks for whom we gather this. For our army forces, yes, and he prefers to call them unknown angels, because he don't know the names of them, but and it is true, they are in a way our angels, because they protect us. Each time when the siren goes on, first he was very much afraid of that, and then me and my husband just explained him that the siren means that there are people who are protecting us from the missiles, from the bombs, and they do whatever they can to protect. And after that, he's always asking for which angels we are now gathering, whatever we can. Yes, so that's how they perceived it in a way. And again, I don't think of myself as a children writer right now. Somehow it's this part of me is completely shut down for the time being. But as a person who actually already had written something for children and can draw and play with them, so that's what I do in the library, because the library is not right now in Lviv, at least, they are centers not only of books, of a culture, of making nets, of connecting people and just talking about experience and helping to feel better psychologically. The librarians and the artists, they gather children around themselves and just playing and making fun, just to help especially those refugees children just to feel that they are cared for, that there are places of at least illusionary safety here, and we do whatever we can to help this way also. So that's what we do almost every day. So at the end of the day, almost usually feel that I did like nothing. I feel completely exhausted sometimes because it's just talking or playing or talking and playing, or this interchange, this action. So that's all. But I know that we are all in that.
Remember when I told you when I was in Lviv that to my shock, I found the future.
Mhm.
After speaking to the young people, their dreams were magnificent and forward-looking, and they were positive, and they were also very clear about their concerns about Russia, about their situation. But what I found extraordinary was I found the future there, but I also found a lot of dreams that were minus the cynicism
Mhm.
of other places that had not endured or were always on the precipice of war. And now, with the way I watch from a distance, a safe distance here in California, I realized that I found courage there too. I didn't understand it at the time, but I found courage that I've been searching for as well. Courage of conviction, courage of the difference of what is right and wrong against my own personal self-interest. I'll never forget being in London and about 10 years ago and saying to someone in government, you have a lot of dirty money going on in Europe, and what you've done is you have allowed people who are monsters to devastate their country and come to yours, and you say we're open for business. And you take that dirty money and you somehow think you will remain clean. We do it in the United States too. And this person completely agreed with me, and then sensed something that I have never forgotten. They said, you see, Michael, we are all part of the criminal class now. And so the reason I am upset with my country and with Europe and the UK is we've been traveling down this road for some time. As a matter of fact, we constructed Putin. We constructed him. If we're going to be truthful now, we enriched him and we made this happen. We betrayed the Budapest memorandum. We made promises we're not keeping. Business corrupted our everything and ourselves. And now we have a decision to make. And that decision is, do we love children the way we say it, or do we love our money and business more? Do you like to think what you like, write what you like, speak what you like? Or do you like the systems of China and Russia? This is no longer about Ukraine. It is about the morality of us or the lack of morality. And we will decide if our country is something worthwhile or just a store disguised as a country. So this is now a Rorschach test about morality. And I wish that people in my country and in Europe would simply keep quiet and supply and fight and do the right thing by Ukraine. That is simple. It really is that simple.
But it is not, it is that simple, but it is maybe this simplicity that is hard to do, hard to believe even. Because, you know, you've asked me about the line in a poem. Actually, it was my son, that the youngest one, who asked me when the war started, like a couple of days, the first bombing began, and we all were in the news. It was before Mariupol or before Chernihiv or before Kharkiv were totally bombed like they are now. But he asked me, are we alone in this war? And actually, I have, this is the answer stuck in my throat, because I was not sure, are we alone? We are not alone. We are very much united as a people right now. I have many reassurance, and I believe in them from different from my friends in different countries. I had like Kateryna Mikhalitsyna, who is also a PEN member and a great poet and a great friend of mine, and she wrote to me that Estonian nation is being built together with Ukrainian now, and I strongly believe in what she said. But still, I cannot find in myself an answer to my son. Are we alone? No, we are not alone, because Poland gives whatever the country can to our refugees, help how everybody gives an unimaginable really help to those who come, for example, to Poland. But we still have no fly zone, and the children are being killed, and there are no other way to protect them, because we cannot stop missile flying. So again, this is not, this is simple, but it is not.
It is
somehow transformed. This simplicity is not simply transformed into actions, though we all understood how simple it is.
If the children are still being killed and we are not involved, you are alone. The words are not enough. I said to you earlier, if I could have a Ukrainian passport and become a Ukrainian citizen today, I would be. The only problem is the condition of having that would have to be, you have to possess the courage that I see there, and I'm not sure that I do. So this reminds me of my father, who was a resistance fighter in World War II. My father, like so many people in Ukraine, were just living their lives. They just were taking care of their children. They were trying to just live. And the Nazis invaded, and my father was left with three choices: to collaborate, to leave, or to fight. He fought, and it damaged him for the rest of his life, some of the terrible things he had to do. But he was correct in the things he had to do, but after that could not stay in his country anymore because of the ghosts of the monster. And so the monster comes in many forms. Hitler then, Putin now, the person in Belarus. The monster is always with us, and history has taught me one thing, that it seems that only the Ukrainians understand you can never negotiate with the monster. You can never say, please only kill half of our children and we'll agree with you. Only bomb one hospital and we will then make peace. No, it doesn't work, but I have to be careful about how I talk, because the bombs are not falling on me. And that's what the world has got to understand. Ukraine does not need opinions and words right now. They need things that stop the bombing of schools and hospitals. That's what they need. And if you're not doing that, you're not doing anything. And you're just like me. Words, words, words. We need more than words. We need so much more. And I feel impotent, and I feel ashamed of my country. And as I said, I would, if I was brave enough, I would hold a Ukrainian passport.
But you know, in a way, you are like doing more than just saying this. For example, there are many many different points of view on what we could say a cultural boycott, not just a business boycott of Russians, but also cultural. I know that you've banned all Hemingway's publications in Russia.
Yes.
So you do what you can do. We all have this amount of power, and we cannot get out of our this exactly amount of power we have. I should say that you do whatever you what you can.
Yes, and we do what we can.
Do you have, but sorry, do you have any reaction from Russian side? Because somehow I know how
Oh, yes.
Ukrainians reacted into your decision, but I don't
Oh,
know.
yes. Oh, yes.
Do you have it? Please share.
The response from our Russian representative in New York was, you know, the typical business response is, oh, but there are people in Russia who are against the war, and we don't want to deprive those people of the readers. Nonsense. The Russian people are responsible for what's happening. I am not interested in making rationales or nuances. Look, Ernest Hemingway went to Spain and put himself in harm's way, defending a principle, perhaps, against fascism. So how do we do this? How do I do business in Russia for the Hemingway estate, selling books when they are destroying libraries and schools? So I give them profit for destroying the books and schools of another country? No, no, we will not be part of that. No, we won't listen to any excuses. And I just told the Serbian publisher we were negotiating with, your country's position on Serbia, on Russia, you are a collaborator in the misery. We cannot participate with you. And now I'm going after Israel and India as well, because Israel is shameful the way they're behaving. And I can never look at them the same way again. So this is a time not of, oh, I support you, I feel so badly for you.
But and then but appears, and a business but appears. Yes,
no but. I will never go to Shell gas station again when they bought the oil from, I won't. So that means nothing for them, but it means something for me, because in the morning, I must shave and look at myself in the mirror. I have to have some self-respect, and I have to have some belief there's a modicum of decency within me. But I cannot do business with such people, and will no longer do business with them in my lifetime. That's how I feel. And so
I think this is huge. It's not just the words of the words also. I guess maybe both, and you and I, we are working with the words, so we know the strength of it.
Yes.
It's not a weapon, but in a way, sometimes it might be not stronger. I don't think that it is stronger. Maybe it has more effect than a weapon, a physical weapon. Maybe this is also the belief that I'm catching at holding edge at the person, because if this tiny if this tiny magical things of thinking that words can cure would be taken off me, then I would be totally, I fall numb, and I would do anything, because words, I know I can help with the words, like what I do with children in the library. And I was very pleased to read, not to read, but to here you gave an interview for some Australian radio, and you told about this, about the library, how your father brought you to the library, and the librarian told you that there are all these books, all these words in them are tiny threads, and they wave a magical carpet, and with that carpet you can go wherever you are, wherever you want. And I guess waving that carpet by the mean of playing, drawing, or creating stories is my way of helping children to recover from their experience. I never actually, for the 6 weeks of war, I never asked any of the refugee children what they experienced there, but I wanted them to make them smile. That's all I can do.
But the words you're describing, the words that you're using and describing are of enormous value. The words that are being used by the West, we support you. We feel that are useless.
Yes.
Are useless. So your words have power and meaning. Our words are meant to give
you in a way.
sympathy, but accept no responsibility. And I cannot accept those kinds of words because we've been using them for too long in too many places, and we've been profiting from the monster. And so to my friends in Europe, who I have many, who I love very much, I will say to them, I'm sorry that you need the Russian oil, but the children are worth more than the oil. So please put on another sweater and forget about the oil and sacrifice, and we'll try to sacrifice here too. I don't know how. I don't know how yet. I think if I was a younger man, one never knows. But if I was a younger man, if I was in totally good health, though I'm conflicted, I think I know that I would be in Ukraine. I would be doing anything that I could. Do you want me to lift a box? Tell me what to do. But even then, I know that would not be enough. So for me, from the West, the only thing that matters to me is, are the children safe now or not safe? That's all I want to hear. And if they're not safe, how do we make them safe?
And they are, and they are not safe even if they are here in relatively safe Lviv or in somewhere in Poland, in Germany, or wherever. But this, the notion of safety is being disrooted, because what is safety? Is if nobody here in Ukraine knows where the bomb shall fall next day, next hour, or whatever. We have no safety at all, even if we pretend to have it for the sake of our children. It's again, you've mentioned that you like to, when you look into the mirror, you would like to see yourself as you are and not to look away. But
right.
When I look right now in the mirror, I don't know who I'm seeing. I don't know this person. I have no time. I have no inner strength to reflect on the changes that are going on in me right now. I'm just doing. I'm a more person of action than a person who, though I like to think that as in a way it was my favorite thing to do, thinking and rethinking or feeling what happening all around. Now I prefer to do and not to. I don't know the person at whom I'm looking to in the mirror in the morning. I don't know who she is and how she's still changing and how much she would change in the future. Hearing the news, reading about the rapes, for example, this is we are to know all the war crimes made by Russia and Russians, because we need to memorize in a way them, to collect them, and to later on to put them into the Gaga for Russians to be responsible, to get full scale responsibility for all they've done. But even to read this and trying to get rid of all the emotions, being a woman myself and reading about the rape of some other woman somewhere in Ukraine is awful. But I need to read. I need to know that this is happened, because now it is a part of my identity, and this is what frightens me, how this identity would be. And again, back to the children, we have a very not an easy history. There were many events when the Ukrainians got killed because they were Ukrainians, just the only reason. And now when I have to explain this in the 21st century to my children, at least older one, who knows these facts from the history, like Holodomor, for example, or whatever other Stalinist crimes were, And I right now need to explain to them that, yes, mama, can I be killed because I am Ukrainian? And saying this, yes, you can, just for being, not for being a girl, not for being, for what you've done, but only because you are Ukrainian or you is Ukrainian. This is really awful. This is, again, the word that's stuck in my throat because it is hard to say them, but I guess I'm forced to say this because that's what is happening.
You make me feel, you make me reflect, I should say.
Yeah.
I'm listening to you and I'm hearing what you're saying, and I'm being forced to think about what my father must have felt and what he went through. Gore Vidal once said that Americans know nothing because they remember nothing. And I think he was right. And I remember my father, after a long time, when he was now a very old man, he surprised me by saying he wanted to go back to Greece, which he had not said in 40 years. And we went back, and on the island of Crete, we stood at a small cemetery that had a lot of German names. And my father, who never spoke about these things, looked up over the lemon groves and olive groves and looked down at two names and looked up again and looked down. And in that moment, I realized he had killed those two people and that he could never make peace with it, even though it was war. And he looked out on the field and he said, "It's like a garden." He looked at the field, and I said to myself, I thought, it is a garden, the harvest is only regret. And so when you talk about, as you do, your children will now have to live with this situation, because that's the other murder that's taken place, the murder of innocence. The murder of
childhoodness, in a way it should be. Yes.
Yes. So I don't know if that's an international crime, but it should be. And all I know is that the world, I don't know if Mr. Putin understands this, but I hope it's true. He can never be allowed in the civilized world again, ever. And anyone who does business with Mr. Putin cannot be allowed into the civilized world again. And all I know is that I'm waiting for you to just get relief. I'm very tired of all the rationalizations from my country and Europe, and we're sending you more aid, we're sending you more this. If the children are still threatened, all of this is meaningless to me. And I'm sure it's meaningless to you.
That's why I'm more of doing than of, though the only wish I would wish in myself, and the new year came, I was wishing to myself that this would be a year of less doing and more being. And now I'm back. I'm fleeing into action because I don't know what should I do with all the emotions that will explode in me when I'm stopped, and I'm not ready to deal with them right now because I need to be working human being. I need to do what I do right now, but because otherwise I guess it would be only the words, though still very unexpectedly. I have not written any adult, in a way, poem for half a year before the war, and I started writing them like on the 18th. The first poem was written, I am currently in right now. I've written on the 18th of February. It started from the lines I read. I am also a part of New York Literary Festival. New York in the Donetsk region. It was founded by Victoria Amelina last year, and we still actually hope to have a second festival in the autumn in New York. And we did do and will do whatever is on us to make that happen. So we have this team talk in a Zoom or whatever messenger it was, and this was the hardening of the escalation of shelling on the eastern part, and we asked our colleagues from the New York, how are you? And one of them just answered, it's still okay. Something is exploding, but after that there is a rain and silence. And it's not a proper translation, so to say, but all is usual. We have there is something exploding, and then we have rain and silence, and that's how the poem started with with her line. I actually took the line, and the poem started. And I don't know how I write them. They are just coming to me. When I stop, I'm just writing. When I stop doing something, the poems comes, and all I need to is to stop and write them somewhere, even if it is just a Facebook page. And somehow they are being translated into different languages, so they have a response. People respond to them, and maybe this is also normal, or this is, I don't know how I cannot explain what I feel. Right, right now I just writing because it also gives me strength to survive in a way. It's my way to stay safe.
Can I ask?
And this, yes, yeah, and just about the poem, you sent me a poem, The Leader, in a way. I don't know when you wrote it, but somehow for me, it's like you wrote it just recently, and in a way it's about Putin and Russians and whatever. I tried to translate, I made a public promise to try and translate it because it's somehow very important, seems to be very important for me. So thank you very much for that. And
thank you, and thank you for translating it. I'm honored for that. That was written actually a while ago, concerning Trump or any oligarch or any monster.
Yes, that's exactly. It could be called not a leader, but a monster, and it would be
right. And the monster always appears as a leader, don't they? Yes. But I want to ask you, because I'm very curious about this. When I was in West Africa during the Civil War, part of the Civil War, one of the questions that kept running around my mind was, how do people whose neighbors and others turned against each other or another people, how do they restart? Do you, in your lifetime, how do you begin a relationship again with Russians? Because this will end. And how do, in your lifetime and in your children who have been subjected to this, how do you come back to seeing the Russian people as something other than the way you may be seeing them now?
It's a scary question for me, I guess, because I don't have you. I'm listening to you, and I have this a cold running on my skin, and I don't know. I don't know answer right now. I guess my children or Ukrainian children, younger generation, maybe would find the answer to it, but I don't have it for you right now. The first reaction is I don't want to. I don't want to find any way to connect. Before I even let myself to think at this side, I mean, to find a way to recognize them as equal human beings to any other human being on the earth. I guess I need to find a way to restart something in me, to rebuild myself, to rebuild this sense of safety. Only after that, after this is rebuilt, for me, for my children, for other people in Ukraine, only after that, I guess we would have some kind of strength to think at that direction. Right now, it's only cold on my skin, and the push away feeling like I won't feel about this right now. Maybe like.
Do you believe the reports that that I keep hearing, I see them as excuses again. But do you believe the reports that the majority of Russians do not believe what is happening?
I don't, it's not only a report. Actually, I have some rather close people who were calling to their relatives or friends in Russia in different parts. And it said, you know, you are bombing us. I am your sister, uncle, aunt, wherever, and your son, father, or brother, whatever, they are bombing our country. And they say, no, we don't do this. It's not true. Again, I am in Ukraine. I am on Kharkiv, for example. Your bomb just fall on the next building. It was a school, a library. It's not a military object. It just exploded. I can show you the explosion. I can show you this ruined building. This is what I'm seeing with my eyes through my window. And the person on the other side of the phone or other messenger or whatever, it's not me, it's not Russians, it's not Russian forces, it's your Nazis, those Ukrainian nationalist fighters from whom we are going to free you. This is real people telling to my real people also. It's not just a report. And actually this is again very, very terrible. For example, they don't believe they are bombing us, even if they see the picture.
They don't want
not in a newspaper, not in a news feed, but a real person showing from the real window the real explosion.
But they don't want to know that.
They don't want to know. It's not.
Which then means they're
That's why
responsible.
it's not.
Yeah.
Yes, that's why they are responsible for what is going on.
I see. Yes, you see, we've had this problem in the United States too. We watch January 6th, we watch President of the United States lie for 4 years, and people say, no, he tells.
There might be other point of view on that. He might be lying of this and that, but you know, Olga is already appearing on the screen, so either she has questions for us or we should stop.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
I hate to be the sign of closing the conversation. I should say that I really appreciate your perspective on propaganda. Probably it's most scary in this informational era when you have access to all information on the world, but you choosing not to know.
Believe, not to hear, not to feel,
Yeah.
not to be responsible. Yeah.
This is true. And also your conversational self-identity on the work conditions, how it changed us, your deep reflection on the family histories and country histories and international crimes, and total impossibility of rationalizing this. Thank you, Katya, for your incredible heart and ability to still make children smile while managing all the suppliers to the front line. Thank you for your
That's all
immortal
actually I
optimism. Now I know it's nothing personal, it's just Ukrainian. We will hold
Yeah.
New York Festival. I am coming.
Our
for
super
sure.
strength is just being Ukrainian, I guess. So, Michael,
And-
you are partly have this super strength too, I should say. You are also, though you have American, whatever your passport you have this super strength. You are a bit of Ukrainians in you.
I would
know-
be honored to be part Ukrainian, I must tell you. I really would. I really would.
That was in one of our previous conversation when we finalized with fight as Ukrainian, care as your Poland. That's interesting to think what to do like you are American. Thank you, dear Michael, for your position and perspective of self-respect in this ongoing situation. This is exactly what we all can take from these conversations, a deep understanding and some answers about what can I do to help. And today I should say, make your choice. Take the responsibility.
Bravo.
It's not something what is happening far away, but time to act. Choose your way. To know is also a choice. And Russia's war on Ukraine is non-fiction, but time to act. This is a theme of Ukrainian stand on the London Book Fair, which is happening next week, 5 to 7 of April at London's Olympia. And our 2 next episodes will be held there as live conversations. The first one with a prominent Ukrainian writer and president of PEN Ukraine, Andrei Kurkov, who will speak to Georgina Godwin, independent broadcast journalist and presenter of the author interview show Meet the Writers. So see you on English PEN Literary Salon on Wednesday at 12 p.m., but also online. And the second live conversation on Ukraine will gather Olga Hnatyuk, Ukrainian academic and public intellectual, and Edward Lucas, British writer, journalist, and security specialist focused on the Russia's context of 2000s. See you on Ukrainian stand this time on Thursday at 12:45. Both events will be streamed. We are grateful to our partners for today's event, PEN America, the Ukrainian Institute, the Ukrainian Institute London, Ukraine World, the Online Publisher House, the Harvard University Ukrainian Research Institute, and the Harman Institute at Columbia University, and for all the cross-streaming service on all the partners' pages. Gratitude, of course, to PEN Ukraine, which continues to stand on the front line in the name of freedom and truth. PEN International is proud to be a platform that supports freedom of expression. Thank you, our great speakers. That was very important conversation. Thank you, our
Thank you
viewers.
very much. Michael, Olha, thank you, everybody who's involved in the process. Thank you.
Please stay safe, Kateryna, and please take my best to your children and your family. Let's stay in touch, please.
Yes, yes, of course. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, our viewers. Follow our dialogues on war, spread the word to stand with Ukraine. Remember, the informational front is real too.
Thank you.